Well, hello, and welcome to another edition of Shrink Wrapped Book Reviews on my channel, JC Lee MD. I am your host, Jonathan Jahe Lee, a Chinese-Canadian Pisces and quadruple board certified child and adolescent psychiatrist living and practicing in Los Angeles, but hailing from the faraway land of Toronto, Ontario. Today's book review comes from a recommendation that I actually received from a classmate in med school. In fact, this is the copy that he gave me, and I forgot to give back to him. I'm sorry, Dr. Martin Owen. But this book is In the Realm of Hungry Ghosts, Close Encounters with Addiction by Gabor Mate. Gabor Mate is a prolific writer, and he definitely has a number of YouTube channels and podcasts that you can gobble up after this. And really an interesting kind of role as a palliative care physician practicing in the downtown east side of Vancouver. If any of you have been to Vancouver, you've most invariably seen the beautiful skyscrapers, the pristine waters and beaches, and the mountains. Vancouver is a beautiful jewel. You'll never hear me confess it, but it's probably more beautiful than Toronto, where I come from. We're kind of rival sisters. But the downtown east side, if you've ever traversed that area, is a sight to behold. I remember as a young med student, or actually this was in med school. I had done an elective whereby I'd gone to the downtown east side, and single room occupancies. I'd walk in with plastic covers on my shoes to avoid taking bed bug eggs home. And it was just quite an unforgettable scene where human people would be stumbling over high, injecting themselves, really in dire straits. And I think having experienced that and also gone through my psychiatric residency training, it really made me realize how far some people can go in their desperation. And rather than sort of come from a historical standpoint where I might have judged these people, to borrow from Christianese, made in the image of God, I think it just broke my heart to see that people were living in this way. And Gabor Mate, of course, has practiced in this area for years. He has written a lot about trauma and addiction. But In the Realm of Hungry Ghosts is about addiction. It's about the pathways that people get to addiction. And he actually sounds a few notes that I think were a bit controversial for me at the time. The idea of creating safe spaces and injection sites and providing, clean injection materials to people who are addicted to different IV or injection-based drugs. And the idea was kind of mind-blowing for me. It definitely left a deep impression long throughout my residency fellowship and subsequent first year at the Center for Addiction and Mental Health, where I worked with transition-aged youth coping with addiction. But I would say Dr. Mate helped me realize that there really are so many reasons why people become addicted to certain substances, and ours is not the place to judge or to wag our fingers and to look down, but really to come alongside and to humanize. And in some cases that might even look like risk reduction rather than frank abstinence. And that was really, it may not be controversial to you, but for a Chinese Christian, good boy, so to speak, it really made me stop and think. So all of that to say, this is one of those books that really has, in many ways, shaped my practice with young people with substance use disorders. Obviously I've held on to it, whether consciously or unconsciously. Sorry, Martin. Maybe I'll mail it back to you if you send me your address. But definitely check it out if you are at all personally or vicariously connected to people who are involved in addiction. All of that to say, happy reading, and until next time, love yourself.